Hi Manuel. I was going to write a comment down below your post, but really I want to deepen a little bit more in the topic what you are talking about. First of all, I want to say to you that all your posts are really interesting, but sometimes I don't have the time enough to express more, comment more about your videos, and this time I wanted to make this video to comment yours, right? There's you talked you talked about lots of things in your video, and one of those is about coffee, and that paid my attention, and it reminded me about a video that I saw on the internet about a YouTuber who made a video about coffee and common mistakes that we as Spanish spoken people make when we ask for a coffee in a coffee shop. Um, right. So I'm going to put it here in the comment, a link to this video, which is very interesting. For example, in we as Spanish speaking people, we can say, for example, I want a coffee with milk, and that doesn't make many sense in English. Or we no, I want a coffee alone. No, it doesn't make sense in English. So that is an example of, it's a really interesting topic, and it has lots of vocabulary involved, and so I'm going to put that link here in the comments. Another thing that I agree with you is what you are talking about, when about the vocabulary you have to look up to when you are when you want to talk about a certain topic, and there are some topics that are more difficult to talk about because you have to make a plan to talk about those topics. Nowadays I'm in that, right? Because I'm making videos about a piece of Australian history. You say, for example, if you want to talk about a piece of the history of the USA, for example, you have to organize that topic. You have to make a plan of it, and that's really true. And I'm living that in that difficulty in this moment, right? Because I've been reading a lot about the Australian history, right? So that makes me that makes me oh, I don't know, I had a little confusion. uh, that forced me to learn more vocabulary, right? So it's another great way to learn vocabulary and learn English when you prepare a topic to talk about. And for example, you told us a very fun anecdote, um, when you was starting with English, communicating in the USA. I have an anecdote, and I want to connect this anecdote with something that I learned while as long I was reading these topics about the beginning of Australia, the convict system. Um, I want to tell you what words I'm talking about. No, I'm going to tell you the anecdote first. I remember when I was to Australia around by 4 years ago. I was talking with an old lady, and I told to her, I want to keep this for a remembering. I want to. It was, for example, I don't remember what is, but it. I said to her, I want to keep this for a remembering, and she looked at me. Looked at me surprised, right? What he's trying to say to me? I want to keep this like as a remembering. No, so and then I realized that she didn't understand what I was trying to say to her, because obviously in Spanish, we as Spanish speakers, we can understand what I'm trying to say, but in English, that didn't make sense, right? And the word that I had to say was keepsake or memento, right? Those are the words that I had to say in that moment. Those are the most suitable words, right? That is the anecdote. And I nowadays I found out these words in my readings, right? Because in the Australian history, when in the moment of the departure to Australia, from England to Australia, the the wives, the friends, the family of the convicts, they gave them keepsakes, and they gave them mementos, right? So I found out that word here reading, right? So well, that was an anecdote, and I connected it with the reading that I have read, the reading that I have been read to organize this topic, right? That I want to be posting about the beginning of the organization of Australia, right? So well, I think that those are the points that I wanted to comment about your video, Manuel. Um, I wrote down here about coffee, the fun anecdote that you told us, and what things that you have to do to organize a topic. You have to organize a little bit to talk about something. And the other, well, and at last, the last thing that I want to comment here is when you want to talk about something, I strongly recommend to go directly and read it in English, right? Because it's typical that for example, we want to talk about something, and we read it in our own language, and then we translate it. We have to explain it in English, and really, when we are talking, we if we use that method, then we have to deal with a lack of vocabulary, right? With a lack of vocabulary. So really, I recommend, if you want to talk about a topic, um, it's better if you read it in English, right? So then you can catch the words you need to make your video, right? So, well, that's all for now. And okay, bye 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 Manuel, bye bye Manuel.